Good morning. I'm Kathy. I have a question for you today. How do you think you would respond, or would you react, if you lost your identification card between checking your baggage at the airport and approaching the TSA security checkpoint? I'll give you a second. Really think about it. You had your ID when you checked your baggage, but now you're approaching the security checkpoint and you don't have your ID. This happened to me yesterday, and my first reaction was panic started to rise. I was in Florida. The only way home was that plane in my mind. And I had just had the ID in my hand. It was in my hand. The woman handed it back to me. I was carrying it. Somewhere I dropped it in the airport with hundreds of people milling back and forth. And I started to freak out. And I told myself, this isn't helpful. This will not serve finding your ID. So we got out of the line, went to the side, and I dumped my purse and I dumped my backpack off to the side so I wouldn't trip anybody trying to find my ID. I checked all my pockets. I didn't have pockets. And I went through everything twice. I walked back to the baggage area while my husband went through everything a third time. I came back and he decided to go ask security, somebody, what do we do? And I sat on my knees and I started to hyperventilate. And all of a sudden, my response was to close my eyes and slow my breathing and ask for help from my higher power. Actually, I asked for help from St. Anthony. Whenever my husband loses anything after fruitless searching, he just stops and he lets go. And he says, St. Anthony, please help me find whatever it is he's lost. And I took a deep breath and I got very quiet and I asked St. Anthony to help me find my ID. And then when my husband returned to our pile of stuff, I said, can you watch this? I really have to use the bathroom. So I went over to the bathroom. And while I was in the stall, I heard my name over the loudspeaker, my whole name, because they read the whole name. And someone had found my ID and turned it in. There are many ways that could have gone. I could have gotten angry, loud, cried, lost my shit, which I was like on the verge of. I never would have found my ID, or I wouldn't have heard my voice, or I wouldn't have thought of solution to the problem. I just would have thought of the problem. And then I would have blamed others for the problem. I would have yelled at the baggage claim lady, because I've done it in the past. When I've been faced with that kind of a situation where it just seems like I'm screwed. You can't fly. You can't pass TSA without your ID. They need to know that you are who you are. Apparently there is a way. You have to go get interviewed. You might miss your flight. But I didn't. I didn't behave in an unbecoming manner. I didn't create any wreckage. And the only thing I can attribute that to is that I guess I've achieved a level of emotional sobriety that I did not have before. I knew what would work and what wouldn't deep down. My first instinct was not to sit on my knees in an airport and pray and ask for help, but that's what I did. I did that because every day I practice that. Every day I practice being still. I practice listening for that voice. And yesterday, instead of a big, huge, dramatic episode that people would remember for millennium, I just stopped. And I waited. And I had a solution. I looked up what I could do if I could never find my ID. And that made all the difference. Really made all the difference. We got home. And that's my whole story. It's not exciting or dramatic, but I just wanted to share that with you. Thanks. Bye.